it's time to get started. What do you think? So I'm going to make formal introductions for each of our three guests. And I know you all probably already know most of what I'm going to say. But we're going to start with gentleman number one, born in Shelby, North Carolina. Our first guest was a multi-sport high school star who went on to play college football at the University of Minnesota, where he was a two-time All-American, a one-time national champion, and winner of the Outland Trophy, awarded annually to the nation's top interior linemen. He was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs in 1963 and played his entire career with them, retiring from professional football in 1974. During his tenure with the Chiefs, he played in 2 Super Bowls, 3 Pro Bowls. He won Defensive Player of the Year in 1969 and is enshrined in both the KC Chiefs and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He is also ranked number 66 on the Sporting News' 100 Greatest Football Players. And I've also heard he can cook up a pretty good barbecue. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome number 78, Bobby Bell. Right here, sir. And another little truly trivial piece of information. Bobby won't know this, won't even care, but at one time we were almost next door neighbors. I lived 3 doors down from him on Delmar. And he won't remember this, but he was such a kind, patient, and understanding neighbor. When all these school-age boys would come and ring his doorbell with our little football cards and a pen for him to autograph. And I think more often than not, we probably woke him up because he was always in a robe and slippers. But that didn't deter us. And he was the kindest gentleman. He was patient with us, and he signed everything we brought to him. So I thank him.
All right.
Why don't you tell him where you threw all that stuff in my swimming pool? Yeah.
Was that me? Okay, our next guest comes to us all the way from Fetsund, Norway. His first stop in the United States was in Bozeman, Montana, where he attended Montana State University on a ski jumping scholarship. He was encouraged by the football coach to try out for the kicking position, and the rest is history. Drafted by the Chiefs in the 3rd round of the 1966 draft, our guest went on to become one of the most prolific kickers in the history of the NFL, winning a Super Bowl, a 4-time All-Pro, and listed on the NFL 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. He played for the Chiefs from 1967 to 1979 and finished his career in 1985 after stints with the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. Welcome KC Chiefs and Pro Football Hall of Famer, number 3, Jan Stenerud.
Morning. Yeah, right here, man.
Okay. Our final guest is on a short list of 8 people who have won both the Heisman Trophy and the Super Bowl. In fact, that is such a rarity. More humans, 12 in fact, have walked on the moon. Think about that. Born in Los Angeles, California, our guest played for the University of Southern California Trojans, where he was a 2-time All-American, led the nation in rushing in 1965, the year I was born, and won the coveted Heisman Trophy as the nation's top collegiate player in 1965. He was drafted by the Chiefs in 1966 after being drafted in 4 Major League Baseball drafts and played 4 seasons for the Chiefs, was twice an All-Pro performer and the negotiator and matriculator of the famous 65 toss power trap for the 1970 world champion Kansas City Chiefs. He finished his career in pro football with the San Diego Chargers, after which he went back to school to receive his Juris Doctor law degree from Western State University. From 1993 until 2010, he served as the athletic director for his alma mater, Southern Cal, where his number 20 was retired and rests on the Hill of Honor at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Please welcome Heisman Trophy and Super Bowl winner and member of the Kansas City Chiefs and College Football Hall of Fame, number 21, Iron Mike Garrett.
Never heard that.
You never heard Iron Mike? That was college, huh? Now, I will tell you 3 gentlemen, there's 1 microphone in between you, and the idea is when you actually have something to say, go ahead and pull it off the stand and put it up to your mouth so everybody can hear your pearls of wisdom. And unfortunately, due to our audio limitations here, we only have 1 mic, so you'll just simply have to pass it back and forth. I want to thank all 3 of you for showing up on such a cold morning, but then I remembered, damn, you guys were football players. This cold doesn't mean anything to you. You probably played in snow, hail, sleet, heat. You've probably seen it all.
I don't know where you're getting your information. Not true.
Oh, I'm sure it's not true, buddy. But again, I'm thrilled to be standing on this stage with these 3 gentlemen, and what we've done is we've already got some questions ready to ask them. We're going to keep it light and fun, and I can't wait to hear some of their responses, as I'm sure you will be excited to hear. So again, be prepared to, I'll let you just take a 1 at a time answer to these questions and hold the mic up to your mouth so we can hear everything you have to say. So the first question that was submitted, and I guess it's as good as any to get started, since none of you are from Kansas City, can you share with us your initial impression of Kansas City and Overland Park when you first arrived here in the mid-1960s?
No, you first.
Okay, I'm first. I'm a number 3 actually. Okay, I came here in 1966, and I flown back. Bobby Bethard, who was a scout for us, had spent the week with me up in Montana, so I've been signed with the Chiefs instead of the Atlanta Falcons, who had drafted me in the other league. And they flew me down to a game at the Orange Bowl to see the Chiefs play the last regular season game in '66. Then I flew back with the team to Kansas City. I stayed at the Howard Johnson downtown.
Oh, he slummed it at Hojo.
They picked me up to go out to the Chiefs, with the practice, where the soccer complex is now East 63rd Traffic Way. So I didn't see any in Kansas City. Came back, stayed at the Howard Johnsons for 3 hours, and back to Montana. Then they came back in the fall a few months later. Didn't know anything about Kansas City, so the first week we stayed at the Howard Johnson again. And for the credit cards, so it cost about $100 a night then. So after about a week, the manager called, and by that time I signed for a bonus of about $80,000 or whatever.
Come on, man. That's not what you told me.
After about 5 or 6 days, they said, you know, the bill now is for $120. You better come down to the front desk and pay so you can stay a few more days. And in the meantime, my wife had to stay downtown. We never knew where the plaza was. We had to stay downtown. And I remember at night we go to 12th Street and had some bars down there and some strip joints. It was quite an impression. So finally we heard about the plaza, we rented a place on the plaza. That was my introduction to Kansas City.
Come on, man. That's not what you told me, man.
I didn't tell you any of
You
this.
didn't tell me about the money, I told you. And you didn't tell me about the strip, John. All that came down. No, I came down in 1963, Kansas City. I had a whole totally different impression of Kansas City. You have to understand that I'm 83 right now. I'm 83, and I went to the University of Minnesota and came to Kansas City. And my first impression of Kansas City, I drove down after I agreed to play for Kansas City. It was Dallas, Texas, before they moved here in 1963. My contract read Dallas, Texas, although I never went to Dallas. I never saw the city, never seen anything down there. And after I agreed to it, you got to understand, Lamar Hunt came to Minnesota and asked me that I wanted you to be part of my family. I said, you're part of your family, so you got to understand, I'm just young. And he said, okay, that's good, part of your family. But when we agreed on the contract, Lamar didn't even have a contract.
Wow.
He didn't have one. He just said, hey, I don't have one with me. And I shook his hand. When I shook his hand, you know, the guy, Don Knutson, wanted to help me with my contract. I didn't have no agent. Shook his hand, and I looked at my Don. I said, Don, what's a contract? You know, he said, the handshake was a contract. And people don't realize this, that I got on the plane because I was in the All-American. So I was going to New York. And Lamar said, wait, you going to New York? He said, I'm going also. We all got on the same plane, flew to New York, landed in Kennedy Airport. And Lamar looked at me and said, he thought, because since I was an All-American, that they're going to send a limo and pick me up. He's going to ride with me, you know. I said, catching a cab. He said, oh, okay, call a cab. As we go through the toll gate, the cab driver reached over like this and said, you guys got to pay the toll. And I looked at Lamar, and Lamar had not moved. Both sitting in the back seat, and Lamar ain't did not. I reached in my pocket. Guess what it was in 1962? 15 cents. Actually, about 15 cents a quarter. Didn't have it. Gave the guy. I paid it. Lamar had not moved. He said, told the guy to take him to his hotel first. Went to his hotel. Okay. And he knocks on the window as I'm sitting in the cab. He said, hey, Bell, you got some cash on you? And I go, yeah. He said, well, you're going to have to pay the cab driver. You got to understand. I said, oh, no, wait a minute. I went to my hotel, I stayed at the Waldorf, and I jumped out of the cab, ran inside, checked in, and ran upstairs, and called back to Minnesota. I said, Don. I called him, he said, what? I said, did I do the right thing? I said, sign with Lamar Hunt. Although he didn't have a contract, he shook his hand. He said, oh yeah, you did the right thing. I said, Lamar Hunt is broke. He said, no. I said, Lamar is broke. I had to pay the cab. That's how it started. The end of the part about that, Lamar was that way. I'm going to share this with you. I said, I have told everybody that the best thing ever happened is Lamar Hunt started in the AFL. And we became iconic. It's unbelievable. The thing about it, you know, Lamar is always like that. And he remember you. Players all over. Every time you see him, you shake your hand. You know, how's your family? He knows all your members, your kids and all that. He was doing that all the time, every time you see it. The end of that story was like Lamar. I never got paid until my 60th birthday. He always sent me a birthday card. He signed it. He already write them out. On my 60th birthday, I opened the card up. Guess what he had in there? You're right, 15 cents. He had the page inside. I showed that to Clark about 5 years ago. I still have the card. And I got people offering me $5,000 and $6,000 for my card. I won't sell it, you know. I got it. Every birthday he sends something. He sent me a birthday card. My impression of Kansas City, you want to know? I think it's a little different than everybody. When I came to Kansas City, God, this is going back some 63. I just built a house in Minnesota at White Bear Lake and came to Kansas City in 63. I thought I was going to go with the Vikings because they drafted me like the second round. So I ended up coming to Kansas City. So when I came to Kansas City, I was looking for a house, a place to stay, something to move here. And at that time, you have to understand that, hey, it was difficult for the blacks to come to Kansas City. I endured that when I came to Kansas City. And I had one place over there on I-70 on 23rd Street. And I rented the place right there on the corner. You can see it, it's still there, the building there. I stayed there for maybe a month. And I sent my family back to Minnesota. So they stayed there until after the season. And I ended up going again in Kansas City. You know what, Patcher Page, well, he's got his place in 63rd Folks. Right there. The Robinson furniture store, we got it involved, and we have built a little apartment building right across from them. That's where I stayed for maybe a year. And I went out looking for places to rent or either buy. Couldn't find a place. Could not find a place. You might not know this, but I was the first black person to move to Overland Park.
Yeah. Is that right? Yeah.
I got a guy. Where's the guy at? He lived down the street from me. Right here, man.
Kenilworth, 95th and Delmar.
Yeah, I just want to let you know. You say that again?
95th and Delmar.
I want to know what you threw in my swimming pool.
15 cents.
15 cents. Do you remember that?
I remember you having swimming pool issues, but I deny any involvement.
All right. You deny that, huh? Okay. But that, you know, I ended up, I found that house. I looked at 200 and some houses, 250 houses. Every time I got to the door, and the guy he said they sold the house. The house is sold. But the house wasn't sold. The house there on 95th Street was a brand new house. You remember? Only the guy built it. Kenilworth, huh? Yeah. And I went in there and looked at the house, and the guy that showed me the house was his first time showing a house in a real estate. He just got his license. Crow Brothers was he worked there. Okay. He came in there and looked at it. I said, brand new house. I wrote a check out, signed the paper for it, and gave it to him. He ran back to his office. He said, hey, you ain't gonna believe this. My first house, first guy, the guy bought the house. They said, oh, you gotta be kidding me. He said, oh yeah. He said, that's unusual. He goes in there, and one of the guys in the work said, go, hey, tell me, who was it? Oh, he was one of the Chiefs players. And they go, wow, hey, great, great, great. And the managers are sitting in the back. He said, who was it? He said, Bobby Bell. And all once the door come on, boom. He told him, said, you can't sell a house to him. Right there. You know how I got in the house? The tailor is a builder. He found out, the guy called and told him, said, hey, I sold the house. The guy bought the house, chief player, told him who it was. And now the real estate people said he can't sell it to him. Him and his family came to my apartment over there on Satchel Page, right there. Him and his wife came over and said to him, said, Bobby, I heard that they won't sell you the house. He said, but I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. You have your lawyer draw up a rental agreement, and you can move into that house. I have my stuff coming from Minnesota, from White Bear Lake down. He said, I'll rent it to you. they blackballed him for that. I talked to his son about 3 years ago, you know, his dad passed away, but he rented me the house because a lot of people didn't want to give me a mortgage because of J.C. Nichols. So I'm telling you this story because I'm writing a book about it, you know, but that's what I went through at Overland Park. They passed out papers. My son and daughter went to Trailwood. What it is? They can walk over there, you know. That's how I started in there. And the problem was in Kansas City is that Swope Park was 63rd Street, 95th Street. Every time I left for practice, before I get to state line, Lee would pull me over. Pull me over, stop me. They'll stop me twice before I got to state line. They did that on and on for a long time. So I told them, I said, that can't go on like this. And I told them about this, and the next time you stop, you bring everybody because it's going to be some problem. I never told that story. That's how I started in Kansas City. And now everybody found out everything is fine. And I got invited to a lot of stuff there in Kansas City. But I meet people, just like I said, you know, now they say, we used to be down the store. They used to come over and jump in my swimming pool. Because I think I had the only swimming pool at that time in the neighborhood. And all the kids wanted to come over. And I'm saying, you can do it, but you're going to clean it. You have to clean it, keep it clean, keep it clean. And they did. And I had one guy cut my grass all the time, you know, because he wanted to jump in the swimming pool. That's what I went through. Delmar, down the street. Huh? Guess who lived on Delmar also?
Oh, yeah.
Coach Stram lived down the street from me. Yeah. He lives down the street. Then I ended up, I think I got Buck Buchanan to come out. He came and got a place out in Overland Park. And then also, who was it, Willie Lanier, ended up coming out too. But everything besides on 95th Street, beyond that, you know, 435 wasn't even out there. I enjoyed it. I stayed there and I was there. My next door neighbor, he passed away not too long ago. He begged me to come back when I sold the house, to buy the house. Why don't you buy your house back? Hey, turn your phones off. Every time I get up and start talking, the phone goes off. I'm gonna turn it over to Mike.
Good job.
I got more,
It was very interesting. In 1965, when I was a senior in college, the AFL, NFL wars were going on at the time. And I got drafted by Los Angeles Rams. And I'm going to get to about Overland Park and how it works. But I was drafted by the Los Angeles Rams and met the owner there, and he's saying that I would have to sign with the Rams right now, but for them to draft me #1. And I said, well, I can't do that because I may get drafted by the AFL. And he says, well, I'll draft you #2. Well, I said, fine. Well, as you know, Al Davis kind of took over the whole AFL realm at the time. And so he was very much determining who would go and where and so forth with the AFL. So when they had the draft, I got drafted by #2 of the Rams because I didn't agree to sign with them. But I was the last draft of the AFL draft in 1965. And it was by the Kansas City Chiefs. And what I've heard, I said, why? I wasn't drafted in the AFL draft. why are you drafting the last one? And he said, well, you were the last guy out there. He said, but because you won the Heisman, we'll treat you as the #1 draft pick. And so I'll say, that's fine. And so I was, at the time, I never forget, I was going to fly back, we signed with the Chiefs, and we were going to fly Kansas City, and the LA Times says, what do you know about Kansas City? And I said, I don't know very much at all. And they said, well, what do you think of Kansas City? And I said, I don't know if there's still horse and buggy. And the comment was, well, you don't have to worry about this. Everything's modern in Kansas City. But then I came to town and I stayed at the Muehlebach Hotel. Muehlebach. And Lamar Hunt was there too. And so I met with him and we had dinner and so forth. And they took me to Old Municipal Stadium to show where we were going to play. And I found the town to be very warm and certainly the Chiefs were the biggest commodity in town. And it was very exciting to be here. The greatest thing about it was when it got down to who was going to sign me, the Rams made an offer, the Chiefs made an offer, and the Chiefs doubled the Rams offer, so I said, guess what? I'm going to Kansas City Chiefs. So my first impression of Kansas City is that you guys outbidded everybody else. And I love it.
Great answers. Great answers.
We're not through yet.
Oh, no, we didn't scratch the surface.